Hi, my name is not Bobo. My name is Victor Kennedy. I am 37 years of age. I used to be a fairly successful businessman. I'm not crazy. I am not crazy. I am writing this for all the humans of the future, assuming there will be any to read it. And I'm going to bury it with my Rolex and my favorite chew toy in a secret place in hopes that someone will find it. This will stand as a record of the downfall of humanity for the beings of the future. Who knows when it all started? I will begin from where it started for me, about 6 months ago. I lived in a small suburban home alone. My only companionship at the homestead was a golden retriever named Schmedley. I loved that dog. Jill, a co-worker of mine, had given him to me as a puppy. I raised him myself, did all the paper training, taught him to fetch the morning paper. He could sit, roll over, play dead, even turn on the TV. He was a good dog. My house had been broken into not even a week before I got Schmedley. The perpetrators had taken nothing from my house except for my entire supply of underwear and a half-opened package of Oscar Mayer wieners. This upset me more than if they had taken money. It was weird. They were never caught. Even though Schmedley was only a puppy at the time, the thought of having a dog in the house eased my paranoia a bit. Within 3 weeks, Schmedley was full grown. That struck me as odd for a moment. But with the schedule I keep at the office, even the most bizarre events can slip my mind. When I'd leave for work in the mornings, I'd release Schmedley into the backyard, a good-sized plot of land ripe for barbecues and small get-togethers. A 7-foot-high wooden fence outlines the perimeter of the backyard, so I felt safe to let the dog roam. He couldn't get out, and he wouldn't let anyone but me in. I came home one evening to find the gate to the fence swinging open. Worried about what may have happened, perhaps another break-in, I examined the latch and found no tear on it, no break. It had simply been opened. Schmedley was gone. 2 days passed before he returned. He didn't show any signs of injury or malnutrition, but out of sheer happiness to have him back, I let him stay in the house for a night. The next day, I purchased a yard stake and a 20-foot rope and installed them in the middle of the backyard. Schmedley was unhappy to be tied at first, but after a few days, he seemed to have dealt with it. Again, I felt comfortable to leave him in the back when I was gone. The rope allowed enough distance for him to get at any intruders that might decide to poke around my property. A few weeks later, I returned from work as usual to find Schmedley sitting like a sphinx right next to the metal yard stake. The rope laid neatly coiled beside him. Too neatly. Upon seeing me, his tail began wagging furiously. Now, this in itself was not an odd thing. What was odd was the way he did this. The air about it was different, almost phony. As if I had caught him doing something he shouldn't have been doing, and he was jumping to say, "Oh, Victor, I didn't know you were there." I swear the expression on his face before he saw me, before he tried to prove nothing was up, was contemplative. I turned my attention back to the rope. Schmedley had scattered and pulled it awry when he leapt up, but I remembered it being coiled, sitting beside him, with one paw resting on it. I did not know what to think. The best I could manage, a neighbor kid had somehow gotten in. Schmedley did like children. He could have allowed a younger boy or a girl in if he wanted to. That must have been it, I thought. The next 2 days were normal, although at this point I hadn't yet recognized anything as being abnormal. A few strange things that were forgotten 30 minutes later, but nothing truly abnormal. On the third day, having finished all my paperwork, I left work a few minutes early. Traffic was wonderful. The rush hour had not set in, and I made good time getting home. I pulled into the driveway, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw something, a movement. It was too quick and too far out of range for me to have been certain what it was, but it could have been nothing else. I saw the Venetian blinds on my living room window slam shut. I got out of the car, dismissing the sighting as my imagination, and approached my house. Halfway to the front door, I heard the back door close and latch shut. An uneasiness rippled through my nerves. Visions of masked men with guns and bats rummaging through my house played themselves through my head. These were followed by visions of masked men with guns and bats shooting and beating me to death. Carefully, I unlocked my door, a bit surprised to find it was still locked, and crept into my living room. I had worked my keyring into my hand so that a key jutted out between each of my fingers. That would allow me to wreak severe damage on any intruder, assuming they didn't shoot me first and have it my naked corpse. An extensive search of the house turned up no burglars or a lack of underpants and frankfurters, and I breathed easy for a bit. That was until I noticed the tracks. They were hard to see at first, as the floor in the kitchen is a dark beige, which never reveals tracked-in dirt very well, but there they were. Dog tracks. I could see where they led, and they led everywhere, from the back door to the refrigerator, the laundry room, and the kitchen sink. I thought, silently and carefully. Fear had not yet set in, as it would eventually, only a very deep confusion. I kept envisioning myself in my evolving story on unsolved mysteries or sightings. The phone rang. I answered after 3 rings. My neighbor Rufus, a loud and large man who spent most of his life covered in greasy undershirts and talking about what he'd do if he won the lottery, was on the other end.
"Kennedy,"
he said. He always called me by my last name. I never heard him do this with anyone else. I think it's because I wear a tie and he finds that a bit weak. "Hey there, Roof," I said. I'm not weak.
"Your dog's been digging up my goddamn lawn."
He barked.
"He pulled our trash cans over and spread the shit all over the yard."
What? My dog's been tied up all day. Are you sure it was Schmedley? He snorted. His dog, half pit bull and half Rottweiler, is named Butcher. Rufus has never fully respected Schmedley.
"Bullshit, I saw him."
Well, I'm sorry, Roof. I must have forgotten to tie him up this morning, I said. At this point, I had parted the blinds covering the window over the kitchen sink to have a look in the backyard.
"What did you say?"
I had said, "My God," but not to Rufus. Schmedley was in the back, all right. He was even tied. But...
"Look,"
Rufus interrupted.
"if this happens again, I'm calling the law."
"Okay," I said absent-mindedly and hung up. Schmedley was eating a sandwich. He was sitting outside, the rope coiled next to him, munching happily on a sandwich. I checked the refrigerator and found an empty honey-glazed turkey lunch meat wrapper. The loaf of bread in the bread box was half gone. An empty container of Heinz yellow mustard rested atop the kitchen garbage. Not only was Schmedley eating a sandwich at that very moment, but it was obviously one in a series of similar snacks he'd had throughout the day. Keeping Schmedley in sight through the window, I picked up the phone again and called Jill.
"Jill Burnham Residence,"
she said after 2 rings. "Jill, this is Victor."
"Is everything all right?"
This concludes Part 1 of Schmedley.